What's up, interwebs? It's your realtor, Jeremy. It's time for the Valley Market Update, and this week I've got some bad news. On my Market Update show last year, my 2021 housing market predictions episode, I said this. What do I think the big talking point for 2021 is going to be? I think it's going to be affordability of housing. A lot of people are saying, oh, houses are so expensive. Guess what? They're still actually in the affordable range. So today we're going to talk about affordability. Now, you guys know I've mentioned the website Keeping Current Matters a few times on this show. And this week they came out with an article talking about specifically affordability and comparing affordability all the way back to 1975. Now, obviously, house prices have appreciated dramatically over the last 45 years, but so has the cost of bread, milk, all these other consumables. We all know it's called inflation. They put together this chart, and what it gives us is the median sale price for a home at the end of quarter two in each one of these years. Then they assumed a buyer was putting 10% down, took the interest as reported by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and calculated the principal and interest payment. This doesn't include taxes or insurance or mortgage insurance, PMI. And then what they did is they calculated out what the relative value would be today. So they included inflation into those numbers. According to Keeping Current Matters, nationally, there's only been two other times in the last 45 years that houses have been more affordable than they are today. So I looked at that and I started wondering, what about Arizona? What about Maricopa County specifically? So here comes the bad news and my prediction about affordability being a big topic this year. Here's my chart. Now, my data only goes back to 2000, so I can't give you anything from 95 or earlier. We can assume that those trends were similar to the national. Arizona really didn't outpace the rest of the country until the last 20 years or so. But if we look here, there's been a few times it's been more affordable. Right now, the median sale price for 10, and so your payment would be $1,510. So we do see that this is funny, just last year, and we've seen the price has gone up $90,000, but because the interest rate dropped, we're actually a little bit cheaper monthly payment today than a year ago. So that's some good news if you maybe put things off for a little bit. But if you bought in 2015, in $2021, your payment would have been $1,092. In 2010, right after the crash, your payment would have been $887. However, if you bought right before, 2005, I think 7-8 is when the prices started dropping. But in 2005, it would have been $1,800 in today's dollars, even though the average sale price was $255. But that's because the interest rate was 5.5%, and we thought that was actually really good. But look at 2000. The interest rate was 8.29%, but 133. Like I said, about 2000 is when Arizona started to outpace the rest of the country. Hey, I just take a real quick break from the video. If you guys appreciate the information I'm sharing, if you appreciate the honesty on a tough topic that's not always fun to discuss, would you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel? It helps when I post new videos. It also helps other people that are looking for similar content, information about the housing market, find my videos and learn from the information I'm sharing in these. I appreciate it. I really do. The good news is it's still pretty affordable, especially compared to what your parents maybe spent or your grandparents spent on a house. I mean, those interest rates back in the 80s were in the 12s. Ridiculous. We're in the 2s, the 3s. So definitely big change there. One of the reasons why Arizona's pricing has accelerated so dramatically, especially in the last 10 years, is because our growth has been insane. The census numbers just came out. I don't know if you guys have seen some articles pop up about this, but to give you an idea of how dramatic our growth has been, we just passed Phoenix, the city of Phoenix, just passed Philadelphia to be the 5th largest city in the nation, to 1.6 million. Phoenix grew by 11% between the census in 2010 and the census in 2020. And we've continued to grow even since then. Just to give you an idea, in 2010, Maricopa County population was 3.8 million. Now we are at 4.4 million, a 17.5% change. We've grown by 17.5% in just 10 years. Now, why does this mean that our prices are accelerating dramatically? Remember back to the crash that happened in 2008. Building was going gangbusters. Building was way outpacing our population growth. And then the crash happened and building stopped. And over the last few years, a lot of builders were really hesitant to really get going with building because of everybody had PTSD from what happened. And so now our population is growing at 17%, and we're just not building enough houses to keep up with that. So it's creating this shortage, which is creating a lack of supply, but because so many people are moving to the state, we have this massive demand. So it's basic economics. Low supply, high demand means prices go up. We knew that we were going to start hitting this trend of Arizona not being the affordable option it was 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, right after the crash. But it's still more affordable to buy a house today than it was in the 80s, early 90s, mid 90s. But the question is it still a good investment to buy a home, even if it's not as affordable as it was? And the answer is yes. Real estate never goes to zero like other investments. Even at the low point of the housing crash, houses were still worth some money. Obviously, if you leveraged it heavily with a mortgage, you might have been upside down. As long as you can make your payments and you wrote it out like my family has, today we're sitting at like 62% equity in the house, if not a little bit more. And that's because we were able to make our payments. We rode through the low of that housing crash, and now we're way above where we were at the peak back in 2006. So houses never go to zero. They are an asset that appreciates, especially when you take care of it well. In most cases, the housing market outpaces inflation. So these are all good reasons to still buy a house, even if it's not as affordable as it was a few years ago. It's still a great investment. It's still a sound investment. And it is one of the best ways to build legacy money for your family more than almost anything else. And it's a pretty safe bet. I don't normally like sharing kind of bad news on here because I like to be positive, but yeah, I gotta report what I'm seeing. And we definitely have dipped in our affordability in the state of Arizona just because we're growing so stinking fast. We'll see what the next few years hold. Obviously, the conversation's still going to be about low inventory. It's still going to be about affordability. Interest rates are still historically low. Even when they go up 1% or 2%, we're still way better than we were in the early 2000s, 90s, a million times better than we were back in the 80s. Now is a great time to invest in a home, to invest in your family's financial future, and I can help you do that. So give me a call, shoot me a text, comment below in the video, Facebook message me, Instagram. There's like a bajillion ways to get a hold of me, and I'd love to help you out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys next week on the Valley Market Update. Bye.